It's been 8 months since the tragic, sudden death of beloved comedian Joan Rivers. She was a great woman. I'm honored to call her a friend. Her only child, Melissa, has not spoken much publicly about her mom's death until now. Melissa recently invited me into her home to talk, and nothing was off limits, including her mother's very last moments.
Legendary comedian Joan Rivers has died.
The world was stunned by news of comedian Joan Rivers' sudden death last September after a minor throat procedure at a New York City outpatient clinic. The comedian stopped breathing and went into cardiac arrest before being rushed to a hospital where she was placed in a medically induced coma. In the week between Joan's procedure and the decision to remove her from life support, daughter Melissa and other close family and friends kept constant vigil by her side, hoping against hope that she would survive. The family has since filed a lawsuit against Yorkville Endoscopy Center, alleging medical malpractice. In keeping with Joan's inimitable character, her funeral was a star-studded affair, filled with tears, laughter, and an outpouring of love. And now, in a moving and funny memoir titled The Book of Joan, Melissa is opening up about her mother's death and the important life lessons she's learned from the Queen of Comedy. I recently sat down with Melissa in her home for an exclusive, revealing conversation about her relationship with her mother, her father's suicide, and how she and son Cooper are coping. Thank you very much for having me in the home.
Thank you for coming to visit me.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So it's been 8 months. How have you and Cooper, your son, coped?
We have our moments. I thought I was prepared for it because I've lost my father so many years ago. And what I've discovered, if this makes any sense, is losing your first parent is a comma. Losing your second parent is a period. Yeah. Your first parent is a shift, your second parent is an end. I think with losing my mother, it's been a very different experience. And when I lost my father, I didn't have a child to take care of. No. And Cooper and my mother were unbelievably close. So for him, it was closer to losing a parent than a grandparent. There wasn't that sort of generational difference.
When was the last time you spoke to your mom?
I spoke to my mom the night before. In a very typical phone call. She had just performed and then gone and had dinner, and she had run into a friend of ours. And she called me, she's like, "You're not gonna believe who I just saw," and joked around about it. And then just kind of went through the day, and okay. And she's like, "Oh, I'm having this procedure." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "I'll let you know when everything's good." I'm like, "Okay. Okay, love you, night."
One call I'm sure you'll never forget is the one you got when they told you there was a problem.
Yes.
In New York.
Yes. I was here in Los Angeles, and it was a little after 7. And I was already up, and my phone rings, and I look at the caller ID. I'm like, oh, maybe my mom's calling me. And it was her assistant saying, "Your mother stopped breathing. We're on our way to the hospital, and I don't know what else to tell you." So I got off the phone and jumped up, and you go cold. Yeah. I literally physically went cold. And I got Cooper turned around from school on his way back home. I started calling and got us on a flight and got us to New York.
So when you got on the plane to go to New York, you did not realize what a dire predicament this was?
Well, we knew it wasn't good. And so while we were up in the air, we got an email saying that they had put her in a medically induced coma.
Did you know what that meant when you heard that was being done?
I knew it wasn't good, yes. And then we were getting conflicting reports. Yes, she regained consciousness. No, she didn't regain consciousness. She had never regained consciousness.
No. So you get to New York. What were the doctors saying?
That she had a major brain injury, that it was a complete and total oxygen deprivation situation, and you have to wait and see. There's a lot of waiting. And one of the things the doctor told me was you have to wait for the patient to present themselves. And as we went through that week, and you know this, what it means is they will show you somehow what their prognosis is and what is left or what is not left.
Did they give you hope? Were they pessimistic?
There were definitely moments of hope. What the neurologist kept saying to me is, yes, this is what the MRI says, but we've seen people with blacked out MRIs sit up and go, "What's up?" And we've seen people with perfect MRIs never wake up. So we get her out of the station, and then she went back to having seizures. So they have to start with the medications again. And at that point you go, the brain's not functioning right.
Do you remember the moment you realized she wasn't coming back?
As soon as they had to hit her with a second dose of the seizure medication and start sedating her again. They're like, this isn't good. And they do these other tests where they do nerve tests, and if the hands, is it curl this way?
Right.
That's not a good sign.
No.
And if they don't move or they curl outward, it's a good sign.
They go back to the childlike reflexes.
Yes, and when they did the test and her hands curled in, they're like, that's pretty much, this is what's left, what's laying in this bed.
What did she look like at that time? I know you actually changed her room. You made it pretty. You made her prettier.
And we brought in everything from her night tables. Another friend went. We got all of her own bedding, and her favorite sort of pretty loungy outfit. And I brought in hair and makeup.
Hair and makeup.
I brought in hair and makeup, and they washed her hair and they did her, and she looked amazing. I'm like, her skin looked amazing.
Marvelous.
I mean, and her best friend, Margie Stern, we kept saying, God, her skin looks so good. She kept saying, Joan, your skin's so good. Wake up, you have to see this. And they'd given her I don't mean to laugh, but you have to, So I just made sure she looked her best before everybody came to say goodbye.
I know you allowed people to come
Yes.
say goodbye. Why you decide to do that?
The funny thing is, I knew that was probably the one thing she wouldn't have wanted me to do.
Why not?
Because she was like, oh, please, nobody needs to waste their time. Oh, this is ridiculous. But I realized her friends needed it. And somewhere I wanted her to know how beloved she was, because she never felt that way. So I took a whole day and evening, and we let certain people know that it was time to come.
The book.
The book.
The Book of Joan.
Tales of...
I'll read it through. Tales of mirth, mischief, and manipulation, all of which is discussed in great detail.
I originally wanted to call it Cheaper Than Therapy.
The last lines of this book,
Okay.
which for me, it left me very emotional, because so much of the book is funny, but this is remarkably, it's how you said goodbye to your mom.
Yeah. In the morning, when it was time to remove the ventilator, she was surrounded by those who loved her most and whom she loved most. I lay in the bed and held her for a while, and after a few hours, she was finally gone. I didn't have to tell her I loved her. She knew. She didn't have to tell me she loved me. I knew.
How'd you know?
It's so funny because I'm so wired to go for the joke, which is, well, she hadn't yelled at me in a week. But to be honest, we were just at that point in our relationship. I knew she loved me.
But like in the book and this conversation, your family has a remarkable knack for using humor as a salve.
Yes.
I remember her confiding on the show, which means she confided to several million people.
Which is very her.
Very her. That she always told the anesthesiologist to be careful.
And every time I go under, I say the same thing. Be careful. I am the only one my daughter has. Be careful. Be careful. I get that poor guy so crazy.
Almost like she had a premonition.
She was terrified of anesthesia. Terrified. She always wanted to talk to the anesthesiologist the night before. She always made sure everything was lined up. But this was supposed to be such a nothing occurrence. She was going in for such a routine operation. It's not even an operation. They were trying to figure out why the acid reflux medicine was not working.
Were you angry she was taken from you?
It started to set in probably about 2 weeks later. Once she sort of come out of that haze and that sort of shock, I'm angry. I'm very angry. This did not need to happen. I did not need to be going through this. I did not need my mother going through this. I did not need my son going through this.
Why is there a lawsuit now?
There is a lawsuit. My primary motivation going into it was the fact that to actually find out what happened, you have no choice but to sue. And I think that's really a horrible state of affairs for society, that to find out what actually happened to your loved one, you have no option but to sue, because no one's going to tell you the truth. And then when you start finding things out, it becomes a whole other issue where I find out that all of these, or a lot of these outpatient clinics, the regulations are very lax. That's not okay. This happened to my mother. It should not happen. It should not have happened to her, and it should not happen to anybody else. But how sad that we live in a world where you have to sue to get the truth.
Well, on a happier note, in a way,
Yes.
I was blessed to be at the memorial service.
Yes.
When you have Hugh Jackman singing,
Yes. And Howard Stern.
Howard Stern hilariously describing
Their last interview.
Yes, and anatomical parts that normally aren't discussed.
God, that poor rabbi.
What did it mean to you to have all those folks coming to celebrate her life, your family's life?
When Cooper and I walked out of that temple, and there were those police blockades, and all those people
Wasn't it
on
amazing?
Fifth Avenue,
Yes.
I stopped Cooper on the top step and I said, "Look, isn't this insane? This is amazing."
There's so many parts of the book I could ask you to read, but there's one part that I think you'll be asked to read by a lot of people. It's the dedication.
So the dedication of my book is for my mother, whom I think about every day, and for my father, who as of this past September is no longer resting in peace.
What is going up there in heaven right now between your dad and your mom? Is she still mad at him, you think, for the
Yes!
suicide? She is.
Yes. Yes, we can still talk about it. I can't believe he ever did that. You know, I still think that if I look around, I go, "Why aren't you here to see this?" So I think on that day in September, my dad's like, "Oh,
You got an earful."
crap. This isn't going to be good."
Losing your father like that, unexpectedly
To suicide.
to suicide. You're very brave in saying that word. So many
But I
families-
find that absurd. I mean, people still look at suicide as this giant taboo and it runs in families. And I'm not scared of the word. It's part of who I am. It's made me who I am.
When your father committed suicide, you were estranged from your mom for a bit.
Yes, for about a year.
Why do you think that happened in retrospect?
Suicide's a weird thing for the survivors. It's a very different emotional journey. There's a lot of anger, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of if only and what if. And until you put those to bed, you can't move forward. And how she moved forward to me was unacceptable because I wanted to sit and grieve and point fingers. And she had to move forward and work, and I think in a lot of ways ran.
Yeah.
And when you have one person who's trying to run and one person who's hanging on to the past with their fingernails, you're going to have conflict.
So how'd you finally deal with that? How'd you reconcile?
I had a personal trauma, and I had to call her.
And what did she say when you called?
I'm on my way.
Your mom wrote in that Penn graduation speech when you were finishing school, the most important tip of all was that you always would have the lights on at home if you're a parent for your children. Now there's no one keeping the lights on anymore.
When I dug up that speech and had to reread it, that part destroyed me. That was one of those moments where you just go, what am I going to do? No, you can't go home. No, the lights aren't on anymore in the window. That leveled me. And it's such a simple statement.
Now what happens when you get leveled?
You get up. You know, my dad always used to quote or bastardize a quote from Winston Churchill, which is, when you find yourself in hell, keep walking. And surviving a suicide, you learn to keep walking. And surviving what my mother and I went through after the suicide, you keep walking. And the ups and downs that we've both had personally and professionally, you keep walking. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm walking.
Joan Rivers, and we are live.
When Joan Rivers asked the simple question, "Can we talk?" you knew you were in for a good time.
You can smell the excitement in the crowd. You can also smell a lot of silicone melting.
That's because Joan loved to talk, poking fun at celebrities, but especially lampooning herself.
You get wrapped, and you look like a mummy. You know, Cooper used to see the Return of the Mummy on television. He'd run over my grandson and go, "Grandma, Grandma." And,
No topic is off limits for Joan, and the same is true for her daughter, Melissa.
Isn't that what she looks like?
Yes,
though?
yeah.
As our candid conversation continues, Melissa reveals the real reasons behind Joan's plastic surgery,
Is there any procedure you would not consider having?
no.
what her mother really thought about her place in Hollywood's hierarchy, and the future for her hit show Fashion Police, since the recent departures of both Kelly Osbourne and Kathy Griffin. Now, more revelations about the private Joan we, the public, never got to see.
I love the kitchen. This is where your mom taught you to cook.
No. I come from many generations of people who cannot cook.
Was there any dish she used to make, any at all?
No.
Just reservations.
Yes. And then she would come in here and she would complain. You have nothing good to eat in your house. Everything's healthy. There's nothing good.
If I asked Cooper about his grandmother, what would he say?
God, he loved her. They had fun. They were partners in crime, always trying to undermine me. I always say there's that old joke, why do grandparents and grandkids get along? Common enemy.
In this case, they had a very good one. I am curious about what Joan thought of Joan. She was so transparently able to see so much truth in life. And yet she had this, I think, misperception about her beauty.
Absolutely. She would always say, life is hard enough that if you get up in the morning and like what you see looking back at you at the mirror, it's going to help you throughout the day. Or her big thing was, I'd rather see a new you getting out of an old car than an old you getting out of a new car. But her whole thing was just about, you do what you need to do to make yourself feel better and feel better about yourself and be able to get through life.
I remember asking her, well, where would you be without all the plastic surgery?
Probably out of work.
I don't know if she told everyone this, but she said, I'd be out of work.
Probably. Yeah, probably. You know, Hollywood's such a cliquey town. She was never an insider. She was never cool. Did not think she was ever attractive. Never thought she was good enough. And that continued through her death.
Yeah. Did it bother you that she was not listed in the in memoriam ceremony at the Oscars?
I think I'm the only person who saw that coming.
But why would you have thought she would not be honored in that setting? She
We
touched
were
so many
never
people's-
invited to anything. Everyone thinks you get invited to everything, and you know, we never got invited to anything.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, I could get very serious and philosophical with you and think, well, you know, it's society, and you know, we lived on both sides of the red carpet, which is the truth, and nobody likes a mirror held up, and you know, everyone takes themselves so seriously. And you want to say, oh my God, we're having fun. This is awesome. I think that's why people related. She was still the kid slightly at the glass looking in the window.
You guys worked together, Fashion Police.
Yes.
How was that working with your mom? Being her boss and her partner and her daughter all at the same time.
It was great. It has moments that were difficult where we would disagree creatively. I mean, from the performing point of view, it was amazing because we had such a connection. When you hired Joan and Melissa, you knew what you were getting.
Tom Cruise. I love my interview with
Tom Cruise wasn't here.
Julia Roberts. I thought when I talked to Julia Roberts.
Not here either.
Who the hell was I talking to?
It must be difficult to go back to it.
It was very hard. Still hard.
It's still hard.
Still hard. Fashion Police hasn't been the easiest road lately.
You've lost 2 colleagues in addition to your mom. What do you think is going to happen to Fashion Police?
We're coming back.
I know you'd never quit.
In hindsight now, we rushed back. But it made sense timing-wise because it was award season. But, you know, all these different shows, people are always saying, oh, we're family and we love each other, and you know all the cast hates each other. The truth is, with Fashion Police, we really were a family. And we were all very close. And everyone loved going to work and enjoyed each other. And then the head of the family died. And what happens when the head of the family dies? Sometimes there's chaos. And families fall apart and argue and fight. And all it does to me is make me look back on those 4.5 years and say, God, we were so lucky to have that. I doubt I'll ever have that kind of work experience again.
So when all the lights are off, all the cameras are off, and you were sitting here in your kitchen where you spent so much time with your mom, what was she like? Describe her to me.
silly, quiet. I don't think people realize that my mother was actually very, very shy. Going to events was terrifying for her.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. She thought people hated her. No one would talk to her.
You wouldn't think that because you describe your mom as being brave and fearless. Why is she brave and fearless?
Look at what she did. Look at what she accomplished. Look at the topics that she talked about in her act and on TV.
California, they bring the parents in now to see My day having a child was better. Miss Rivers, you had a girl. Good. Good.
I mean, that took a lot of guts, especially with a lot of her philanthropy. It took a lot of courage to be the first one out there with Elizabeth Taylor doing a fundraiser for, at the time, was called gay pneumonia, gay cancer. It wasn't even called AIDS yet. And receiving death threats.
Do I appreciate that she lives, actually, with the anxiety so many people have.
And you have to face it. And at one point, she did get over it because she looked at me one time and said, I'm 79 years old. What are they going to do to me? And what are they going to say to me that hasn't been done and hasn't been said? And I think at the end of her life, towards the end, she would look at the mirror and go, she'd go, for 80, I don't look so bad. I look pretty good for 80.
So how are you doing? At the end of the day, I think that's the biggest concern so many of us have.
How am I doing? I have my moments. But Cooper and I, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And on cue, hello, time for your medication, Ms. Rivers.
I have thoroughly enjoyed spending time with you.
I have always adored you, and my mom adored you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I can do anything to help you, let me know.
I will.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.